that this land was originally called Terra Azeret, and that the first people here spoke Hebrew. And we can see it written on these stones and some of their artifacts. This is all written in Hebrew, and you see the person with the afro. We understand that the first blacks to come here came from Europe, and they were the Moors. They were the only ones who knew how to navigate against the current of the waters from Europe. And the reason they were brought to communicate with the people here was because they also spoke Hebrew. We learned that the tribes here were represented by the buffalo, which is the symbol of the 10 tribes of Israel that were lined up behind Ephraim. And in scripture, they are often called Israel or Ephraim, symbolizing the 10 tribes separate from Judah and Benjamin. We also learned that this land was called Eretz Azareth, which means time out of mind, final end, place of the cross, place of the meeting of two sticks. And according to 2nd Ezra 13:40, about 2,700 years ago, the 10 tribes of Israel went east from the Euphrates River for a year and a half and crossed over the waters to arrive in a country where no man dwelt, where never any mankind dwelt. And according to Chief Warhorse, this land, North, Central, and South America, was given to her people, the 10 tribes of Israel, around 700 BC. By Yah, or what the 10 tribes call Yah, or God, what pagans call God, the creator of the universe. We also learned that Abraham, the father of Israel, was promised that he should know for a surety that his descendants should be sojourners in a land that was not theirs and would serve them, and they would be afflicted for 400 years. And that nation which his children would serve, the creator of the earth would judge, and afterwards they'd come out with great possessions. So they would not necessarily be rich in this land, but they would leave to return to their homeland with many possessions after serving. But Abraham would go to his fathers in peace, and in the 4th generation, they, all 12 tribes of Israel, should come out of the land and return to Israel when the iniquity of the Amorites was completed, because it wasn't yet complete. We also learned that Israel was not in Egypt for 400 years, but in the land of Canaan and in the land of the Egyptians for 430 years. We learned that Joseph ruled in Egypt for 70 years, and so it was really only for 215 years that the Israelites were in bondage to the Egyptians. And at that time, there was a Pharaoh who did not know Israel, and he was actually an Amorite. So the same iniquity of the Amorites that took place in Egypt had yet to be fulfilled elsewhere at another time. And so we learned who the Amorites are. We learned that the Amorites were of the land of Canaan, somewhat related to the Canaanites, and that America was named after Amerigo Vespuccio, who was a descendant of the Amorites, which descends from the word Amaru, Amorite, Ameritu, or America. And so we learned that this land, America, is named after the Amorites and the Canaanites. The Amorites had put Israel into multiple captivities through the Assyrians, through the Babylonians, through the Egyptians, through the Medo-Persians. They had enslaved Israel multiple times, and even in Roman and Greek captivity. The Canaanites are Hamites, and one of the wives of Judah was actually a Canaanite. So we're not prejudiced against the Canaanites. But the Amorites are something of a different people. Judah and Ephraim. And again, Ephraim is symbolized by the ox, and we learn that Judah is symbolized by the lion, and that Ephraim sat on the west side of the camp and Judah on the east. So when it came time for the two to unite, Judah would come from the east to the west, and Ephraim would be in the west. So Judah would come from Africa in the east and be in that land, and Ephraim would be in the west. We also saw that the indigenous people of North and South and Central America had similar clothing and headdresses to the West Africans and the Black Moors of Europe. So the people of the land in North America wore headbands and turbans, so their crown of their head would be exposed to the sky to be open to minister to their creator named Yah or Yahweh. The Shefunkta wore 4 tassels around their neck pieces because it was very typical and according to scripture for tribal leaders of the 12 tribes to wear 4 tassels. It was actually a commandment from the creator. And it was the same with the West Africans who came from a land called the Slave Coast. It was literally, here you can see it, called Judea. Judea, the Slave Coast. And that's what the Europeans called it, because it was the land of the Yahudis, the Yahudim. We also remembered and learned that Yah said he would hide his people and scatter them into the corners and make remembrance of them to cease from among men. And he would even cause Israel to forget who they were. So here you can see the breastplate that the priests of the Ashanti tribe wore in West Africa. And you can see the turbans that they wore. And then here we see the turbans that the 10 tribes of North, Central, and South America wore also on their heads, the similar clothing and dress. And we also saw that the cities were circular cities in South Africa, in Benin, the West African Empire, and also in a lot of these empires in North America, in particular the Shefunktas cities, mound cities, which were hidden, were round. Some of the cities were configured in rectangles and had pyramid-like structures, harkening back to Egyptian times, but for the most part, the original design was a round city.
I think Alex Haley gave to those black communities something to reach for when he did Roots. And they figured, well, if he went and found his way back, I'm gonna go find my way back. Y'all know how many years black folks been trying to find their village in Africa since Roots? You know how many people done died and haven't found their roots? Maybe your roots wasn't over there. Maybe your roots is over here. Do this make sense? Maybe you're looking in the wrong place. And it becomes frustrating at a point. And you're always looking at these young people out here telling me they stealing and they doing this. No, they trying to figure why, no matter where I go, I'm under a curse, look like, of blackness. And I can't get the black off. Well, I want to tell them, don't get the black off. Stop trying to quack. Begin to cluck. How you cluck? What we doing today? We're trying to teach you to stop looking in the wrong places. What I'm trying to say is, instead of trying to get to Africa, let's find, if you're a Creole, I'll give you a challenge. Find where your one drop Indian blood come from. Because the white man counted everybody out on a one drop black blood. Right?